back, everybody, to the official SNORCKL podcast. It's Daniel and Johnny once again. I know it's been a little bit longer than we were hoping, but Johnny went on vacation, went up to Minnesota. We live here in North Carolina right now, but he went up to Minnesota. Had a little bit of a vacation time. Did you have a good time up there?
I did. I got to see Mission Impossible Fallout up there twice. The first two times I saw it on the biggest IMAX screen in the state, which is really, really cool. Highly recommend that if you live in Minnesota. The Minnesota Zoo has a very nice IMAX theater, so check that out. But good times.
And as you guys will see, this episode is Mission Impossible themed, I guess, if you will, or Tom Cruise themed. I would like to have a full podcast of Tom Cruise's whole career, because it's been, at one point, I mean, I don't know now, I think Dwayne Johnson, obviously, The Rock is the biggest, action star, if you want to say, in the world, or biggest actor in the world. But Tom Cruise, for sure, at one point in time, was considered the biggest actor in the world. So I think he deserves maybe a whole episode to himself.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely still up there. I mean, he's one of the last stars that can single-handedly bring in box office. Like Leonardo DiCaprio is one of those people. Tom Cruise.
I definitely agree. He's very bankable, which is very weird because obviously we're not going to get into the whole Scientology thing, but it's he doesn't do. I don't want to say he doesn't do promotion because they go on these huge world tours, but he's not on social media as far as I know.
He is.
Is he really?
He's on Twitter and Facebook.
I didn't know.
And Instagram.
I don't really follow him like that, so
You should.
surprising to me. But he's just not out there like that. You know what I mean? I feel like The Rock and people like that are way more out there in the public eye, and Tom kind of keeps himself seemingly,
Yeah, he's definitely as far as Tom goes, I feel like he interacts with his fans a lot, at premieres and that kind of thing, and he's talked about how he likes to gauge audience reaction and that kind of thing. And he's obviously a global star in Asia and Europe and all around the world, so it's definitely, I think he's smart in that way. But he definitely, as far as his personal life goes, he's very pretty guarded, I would say.
Yeah, which is pretty strange because at one point in time he was married to Nicole Kidman and stuff.
Kidman, Katie Holmes, yeah. He was definitely in the media a lot. I think as he's gotten older, he's kind of definitely gotten a little more
reserved,
closed in, yeah. But
so Mission Impossible Fallout came out just a couple weeks ago. One of the better films of the year, I would say, up until this point. What do you think stood out about this one in particular? I mean, obviously, is there any Mission Impossible that you don't like, or you think it's just one of the by far the worst in the series? Or
I haven't seen it because I've heard it's just so bad. So the Mission Impossible 2 I have never watched. It's the only one I haven't seen, and it's mainly just because it's older. It came out in 2000, and I don't think I would enjoy it very much. And I just love the franchise as a whole, and all the other movies I find really well done and entertaining. So I think to watch that would just kind of there's nothing I'm gonna gain from it, I would say. So
yeah, I agree. I do remember seeing that when I was younger, and I don't remember it being that good. For some reason, I have really good memories of the first one, which I know you don't think it has aged well. I don't think.
I think it's a good movie.
I really I just remember having really good memories of that one, and I still, even though it is funny to go back and watch movies from 20 years ago with the technology and stuff, and it seems so outdated now, but you kind of expect that, coming from 1996 when the series started. 22 years later, Fallout comes out, continuously building on itself. I can't say specifically that the series has really changed a whole lot. It's just gotten bigger and better and has been solid across the board. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's changed like any franchise does, because obviously you have Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt. He's been the main character since day one, and obviously he's as that constant figure in all these movies. You can see the different changes to him, but I would say, and then you bring in other characters like Benji, played by Simon Pegg, and he first appeared in the third one, I believe, and then his role has gotten bigger with each movie. So it's really cool in that respect, seeing how it's kind of evolved. And then each movie, because up until Fallout, each film had a different director. No one came back to the series, so it always had it felt like it was being refreshed in a way, which was always a smart idea, I think. You have while it still has the different hallmarks of the franchise, it has a different look to it and a different sound. And from J.J. Abrams and Brad Bird and then Christopher McQuarrie now, and Brian De Palma did the original, obviously. So it's different, but I think Fallout is the first film to really completely look at it in a different way. Like, because as far as I'm concerned, these movies are really, they're fun, they're smart, they're entertaining, and they're really great action movies. And this one, Fallout, I think is and we're gonna, we haven't really gotten into it yet, but it's an amazing fucking action movie. And I think, but what it does is with the story and like Ethan Hunt specifically, it's almost like getting into like who he is as like a character and like analyzing him more than any of the other movies, like by far.
Yeah, some films really like struggle even having any type of coherent plot for 90 minutes, let alone 6 movies.
Yeah.
So the fact that they've been able to bring this character Ethan Hunt back time and time again and keep it good,
yeah,
and refreshed is good. And also, just seeing Mission Impossible 3 recently, which I watched after Fallout. The fact that like you had his wife, and then
that's another factor.
She's kidnapped, and or whatever happens with that, and then she ends up leaving him, or they end up just deciding to split apart because they just can't be together.
She has to like hide. Basically.
He wants her to be safe, and she wants him to go like save the world type thing.
Yeah.
And then to bring that full circle into the 6th movie and make it make sense.
Yeah.
And then he also has this other woman now that has feelings for, and it doesn't seem forced at all. It seems like natural.
Yeah, it's such a natural progression, which is. And again, the thing that's so amazing about that is that it is different filmmakers, it's different writers, it's different directors, and so that's just so cool. But really, I think you can attribute that to the fact that Tom Cruise has been such a guiding force, like in these movies. He hasn't been writing them, he hasn't been directing them, but he's been a producer, a legit producer since. I'm not sure if it goes all the way back to the first or second one, but I know for a fact on the third and then throughout Fallout, he's been a producer and he's helped in the editing process, and he's integral in like planning the stunts and all that stuff, and so that's definitely awesome because even though it's changing from movie to movie, they still have those like story elements working like 100%.
Now let's jump into Fallout more in detail. The action sequences in this movie, like I love that there was a motorcycle chase, a car chase, back to back. And there was like no dialogue for a little bit of it where he was in the BMW getting chased down. There was like no dialogue at all.
There's pretty much no dialogue in any of that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no dialogue from the time he gets on the motorcycle and has to... We're going 100% spoilers, by the way. So if you haven't seen Fallout, please, what are you waiting for? Go see it. Go see it on the biggest screen you can possibly find.
This is not a Transformers popcorn movie that they just want to pump out and make money. Like, this is a good movie.
This is a fucking amazing movie, and like what I was saying is, it reminded me, Fury Road, Mad Max is one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's definitely, I would say, the best action movie I've ever seen. But this is the best action movie since Fury Road, and it is like, it's one of the best action movies ever made. Like, that is not hyperbole whatsoever. I mean, the fucking stunts that they do in this movie. Tom Cruise jumping out of an airplane at like 30,000 feet, grabbing a guy in midair, flying around, like, and then the motorcycle, through Paris, like, against traffic, all this insane stuff, learning how to fly a helicopter, just to do one of these sequences, which is maybe the single best stunt I've ever seen in a movie with this helicopter stuff at the end. I mean, it blows my mind, and it's not just him. Henry Cavill's doing some of his own stuff. You have all these other characters. Rebecca Ferguson is Elsa Faust. It's mind blowing when you're watching it. You know what I mean?
The tension that they are able to bring out of these car chases and motorcycle chases and helicopter chases is so real. Like, because sometimes you'll see a movie and you're just like, oh, there's going to be a bomb exploding and they're counting down, and you're like, oh, we already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But this one, even though we knew what was going to happen, we thought we knew anyways.
Right.
It was still like, oh my god, first of all, they had to get, again, we're going spoilers here, at the end of the movie where there's 2 separate fuses that they have to do, and then there's or 2 bombs, and then they have to take the fuse out of the detonator.
Yeah. The key.
Yeah, the key out of the detonator. And then you see Henry Cavill's character take off in a helicopter, and you're thinking, how the hell is he going to get into a helicopter that's flying? And then obviously we knew, I've seen behind the scenes stuff where he's learning to fly a helicopter, so I knew Tom was going to fly a helicopter. But I'm just like, they're flying at each other. Henry Cavill has a freaking 50 caliber freaking Gatling gun or something,
machine gun,
and he's shooting it, and they're freaking. it's just mind-boggling. Like, how are you supposed to pull this off, and how is it going to end? Like, are you going to crash a helicopter into the other guy? Like, how is it going to end?
Yeah, no, it definitely has you. I think in this, especially, I mean, these movies are called Mission Impossible, right? But
yeah, exactly.
And that, like, that's one of my favorite things about all these movies is that it always feels like, how is Ethan Hunt going to get through this? Like, how is he going to pull it off? But in this movie, I think more than any of the others, it really felt like an impossible mission. Like, whether it was, I mean, and I think that one of the best things they do is in the very beginning of the movie, the opening, kind of like a prologue, they basically fail. You know, they lose the plutonium, which was their mission, was to get that back, and so it's starting them off already. You're like, well, shit, they've blown that. You know, what else are they going to mess up? And then, you know, just from having the scene in Paris where they're trying to, you know, his motorcycle won't start, and he's like, he crashes the motorcycle, and then he gets out of that, and then they're getting shot in the BMW. And they have the policewoman that, you know, tries to stop them, and it's just turn after turn. It's like things just keep happening, and you're like, what? Like, how are they possibly gonna get out of this? And I asked myself that like 20 different times during the movie, and it still, you know, it surprises me when they actually do get out of it, because I don't really think, like, you know.
Yeah, the motorcycle chase, and then he gets rescued and you're like, okay, he got through the motorcycle chase. He got saved by the boat.
Yeah.
In the canals or the tunnels. And then they get into a car, and you're like, okay, they're getting into the car, they're going to escape. And then the policewoman sees them, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then the guys show up, and they're going to kill her, and they're like, how are they going to get out of this situation?
Yeah.
And then he's driving the car, and they get shot at again, and you're just like, how is this going to...
They have to get out, Tom Cruise has to drive away. It's like, holy shit.
I guess the pacing, too, is one of the really strong parts of the movie, because it's I don't want to say it's unrelenting, because they do give you time to breathe, but was like 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
They give you enough points in the movie to where you're like on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, this movie... Like, that's another thing that just blows my mind. This is one of the best paced and one of the best edited, especially when it comes to action. Editing is, like, super important. And this is one of the best edited films I've ever seen. Like, just beginning to end. And I've seen this movie 5 times now, okay? And still, every time I watch it, it's like 2 hours and 25 minutes long. And it feels like it's over in, like, an hour. I mean, it's... From, you know, the stuff in Paris to London to Kashmir at the end, it's so propulsive. It reminds me of The Dark Knight in that respect. In that movie, you know, The Dark Knight's almost 2.5 hours long, but it's so, you know, one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and it's just building up, you know, between Batman and the Joker. And in this, it felt similar with the way it was building up with Ethan Hunt, and then you have, you know, Solomon Lane, and then John Lark, this character who you're kind of waiting to figure out who it is. And then once that is revealed, it's like, okay, now we're going to get to this big showdown. And the third act of this movie specifically, it's hard for me to pick one sequence or one, you know, scene that is my favorite or the best or whatever. But the last 30 minutes of this movie is just unbelievable. Like, this is the helicopter sequence, of course, but the way it's intercut with what's going on the ground with Ilsa and Benji trying to find, you know, the second nuke, and you have Luther trying to disarm the first one, and his wife comes, Ethan's ex-wife comes and helps, and it's just, and then they end up getting in a life or death fight with Solomon Lane, and it's back and forth, and you really think, is Benji gonna die? Is Ilsa gonna die? It's just insane. It's amazing, and it never, and the fact that they're cutting back and forth between disarming a bomb and a fist fight, and then a huge helicopter chase and crash and all that stuff, and it never feels like it's like faltering or anything. It's just like unbelievable.
I do like that they kind of pivoted Simon Pegg's character Benji from just being like the nerdy tech guy to, oh, he does that, but he's also like a field agent now, so he can fight a little bit. Because there was a couple moments where he did lay some guys out, either with his fists or his guns. So that was kind of cool. Where do you rank this in the series? I mean, obviously,
it's easily number 1.
Really?
Yeah, it's not even a question for me.
Man, I still think Ghost Protocol is the best one, and I don't want to say it's ahead of the original because I have to go back and watch it because I've obviously have seen this most recently. But I would definitely say it's in the upper half. I mean, I definitely think it's better than 2, 3, and probably the previous one. I'm losing the name off the top of my head.
Rogue Nation.
Rogue Nation, that's right. But I definitely think it's in that upper 3 for sure, with a strong argument for number 1. I mean, but I just personally like Ghost Protocol a little bit better. Do you think now there are two issues I have with the movie mainly, and one of them isn't even with the movie, but it's more the series. They say even in the film they kind of poke fun at themselves and say, "Oh, this is just." They don't mention like 007, but they're just like, "Oh, the not the MI6 guys, but what do they call the group that they're in?"
IMF.
IMF, yeah, the IMF. They kind of say that those guys are just kind of like not goofy guys, but like, oh, they just wear Halloween masks and stuff like that. And we've seen that so many times where they do these little twists in the movie and in the story, and then they just pull like a mask off and like, oh, that was just part of our plan. You know what I mean? Like we've seen that so many times in the series where it's. I wish they didn't go back to that well so much. What you know what I'm talking about? Like, do you think they've seen that?
I completely disagree for one thing, but. Because when you're talking about the masks in particular, which is iconic and directly tied with like this franchise, it's used. I think they've integrated the mask thing into every movie. I think just at least once in Ghost Protocol. I remember they're doing the scene at the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, and they're like, oh, we gotta use these masks because. We have to think that there were these people, blah, blah, blah. And then the machine breaks. And it's like, well, shit, that's not going to work. But then it's revealed at the end of that sequence when the bad guy's getting away, he rips his face off, and it's not his minion or whatever, it's the main dude. Which is it's crazy. But anyway, and then in the last movie, they have the bit where in Rogue Nation where they're thinking, how are we going to break into this facility? And they're like, oh, we could use masks. And then it's like, no, you can't because they know like how you move and walk and stuff. But then at the end of the movie, Tom Cruise takes the prime minister or whatever of Great Britain, and he rips his face off, which is great. And then in this one, I loved how they kind of with dealing with the masks in the very beginning. Spoilers, of course. They have. They trick the person they've captured into thinking that they have CNN on the television, and Wolf Blitzer is talking about these 3 nukes that went off. And then it turns out, no, that didn't really happen. And Benji walks in, and it's Wolf Blitzer, but then he rips off Wolf Blitzer's face, and it's Benji underneath. And then right after that, you have Angela Bassett's character talking about how the IMF is like people running around just wearing masks, like. It's not to be taken seriously, and they're not capable of doing what they have to do. And then what I love about this so much though is it sets that up in the beginning of the movie, and then later on they get John Lark to reveal himself, and it's Henry Cavill's character, which is August Walker, who's been working with them the whole time, and basically he is going on this monologue ranting about how he thinks he's talking to Solomon Lane, who he's in cahoots with, of course, and he's going on and on. He's like, they're right about how the IMF is just these guys wearing masks. And then halfway through, he stops and he's like, God damn it, it's not Solomon Lane I'm talking to, it's Benji. And he goes and rips off his mask. And I don't know, I really like how they did that specifically. I didn't feel that way at all. I thought with the story itself, the different twists and turns, like that opening I was talking about with CNN, and then switching the Solomon Lane and Benji, that I just thought was really like well done, really clever. It actually surprised me when it happened, so that's always a good thing. But
so the other big thing I have, which is I don't mind the mask. Like I understand it is iconic in that series, so I don't mind them too much. I just think maybe they could tone it down a little bit and not go back to that well so much. The other thing I had a problem was I think they overcomplicated the overall story, because you have Walker being brought in to basically tag along on Ethan Hunt to make sure that he's not like overstepping his bounds or doing anything he's not supposed to do. And then he plants the seed in Angela's character, where Ethan Hunt's the bad guy, you know what I mean? And I need to figure it out. And they're clearly setting him up to be the bad guy, Walker. I mean, because he gives her a phone. They showed the phone specifically in the bathroom in that fight scene where it was all cracked up. He gives her a brand new phone. Obviously, he's going to be the bad guy at that point. And it's like, well, okay, so Walker's going to be the bad guy. Is Solomon Lane still a bad guy? What's going on with that? And then is the CIA lady really out for herself? And there's like no cooperation whatsoever with Alec Baldwin, supposedly. And then they fake his death, and it's just like the tunnel scene in particular, where they're going over all that stuff.
Wait, whose death did they fake?
Alec Baldwin's, or not his death. I'm sorry, not his death, but when they like tranquilized him or whatever. That whole like little 3 or 4 minute thing there, I was just like, wait, what the hell is going on? Because it was like they were revealing all of this stuff at one time, and some of them were just like fake things, like, oh no, he was trying to set you up. This is what's really happening, and the other guy was like, no, that's not a setup. This is what's going on. There was like too many things intersecting.
Yeah, I definitely don't agree with that.
At that one scene, no, it was way too complicated. I'm like, they could have cut out so much stuff and
like what
in that one little scene and just like streamlined it. And then you have the little other plot with the white witch or whatever the hell they call her.
The White Widow.
Not the the white witch, the White Widow. And then it's like a weird little love thing with her, and she like kisses him, and it's like,
oh, it's definitely not a love thing. For starters,
first of all, it was fucking weird. There's no reason for that to even happen.
Well, they had to. She's directly involved with trying to get the plutonium back in Paris, so that's why she was.
Oh, I know, but there was no reason. That whole thing could have been cut out, in my opinion.
Well, then how do you have it set up where he has to pretend to be Lark, and then infiltrate?
I mean, there's other ways. I'm not anything specific about it. I'm not gonna say, but there's other ways they could have done it. I'm not even saying get rid of that character. I'm just saying there was no reason for that to be a part of it. And then obviously Ilsa Faust is watching as she kisses him, and it's like there's just too much going on in that.
What does that have to do with anything?
Because I'm like,
she was
like
following him.
No, I know, but I think they showed her kissing him, knowing that she's watching. Faust is watching, and I felt like they were trying to like set something like a seed in her mind, like, oh, maybe they really are working together or something. You know what I mean?
But she never indicates that that's what she thinks, though. Like that's never even a fact.
Then why even have it there? It didn't make
because
sense.
The widow was like enamored with Lark because she saved her life, or he saved her life back at
I think it was too much. Just my opinion. But those two things, again, overall, the biggest gripe to me would just be the over complication of the overall, like, just the whole story when they intersected in that one scene in the tunnel. It was just way too confusing, in my opinion, and they could have cut it out. But yeah, those are the only two things in my opinion. I think the positives in the film certainly outweigh any negatives.
Yeah.
Was there anything that I mean, I've named two pretty big things that I didn't like. Was there anything you didn't like?
So you didn't like the mask, and you didn't like the story coming to a head before the third act, basically.
I just think it was way too confusing, like, for that one little bit there. And I don't want to say I don't like the mask, because it is an iconic thing in the series, but like, I just feel like they go back to it too much, and it's like, you already know, literally right when they did the switch in the tunnel, I knew that was Benji. I was like, okay, it's not even like a surprise anymore. I was legitimately surprised when the Prime Minister guy was Tom Cruise. I had no idea that he was him. And then when they showed that, I was like, oh my god. But the Benji thing, I knew right away that was what was happening.
So what are we talking about now?
I was just saying, was there anything in particular that you didn't like?
Nah, not really.
Oh, Johnny's giving it a 10 out of 10. Okay.
Easily. I mean, it's like literally one of the best action films ever made. I had no problems with it, watching it.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it puts the other movies. I mean, Ghost Protocol for me has been one of my, like, whenever I talk about action movies, like, Ghost Protocol is always in my, like, top, upper echelon 3, 4, 5 movies I've seen, and that for the franchise has been like the high watermark to me. Even though Rogue Nation is definitely like almost like, I would say they're probably neck and neck, and I might even say now, having seen Rogue Nation a lot, that and the way that Rogue Nation ties into Fallout it kind of elevates Rogue Nation because the story's so tightly connected that it has more meaning now. Going back and watching that movie, I would probably put Rogue Nation above Ghost Protocol now. But yeah, the thing is, even with Rogue Nation, which was written and directed by Chris McQuarrie, who did Fallout, it's just it feels like Fallout is just on such a higher like level. Like the way it's written and the way like the story plays out and all the characters are connected, like bringing back his wife and the way his relationship with Ilsa is like developed more, and seeing Benji like be more involved, and even Luther, who's been there since the first movie.
I do like that he's been involved in the film.
Yeah. It feels like, I don't know. It's just it feels more like, if Rogue Nation was Batman Begins, then this is like The Dark Knight essentially, because it's just such a Batman Begins is an amazing comic book movie and a great Batman movie, but The Dark Knight just deconstructs all that as the sequel. So
Now, I think me and Johnny have kind of gone away from giving like number scores to movies for the most part.
I still do for every movie I watch, but
we can do it for this one. I definitely want to. I'm gonna give it a solid 8.5.
okay. I'm definitely giving it a 10 out of 10. Okay. I gave it a 10 out of 10 after the first time I watched it, and I gave it a 10 out of 10 after I saw it the 5th time the other night, and I gave it a 10 out of 10 the other 3 times that I watched it.
And as far as I know, you definitely want to see it in IMAX if you can. I mean, this is one of those experiences, which I don't even think you can anymore from listening to this. But if you ever have the chance and they ever show it for whatever reason, check it out in IMAX.
Yeah.
Check it out in general if you have a chance.
Yeah. I mean, definitely see it in theaters because you needed like that sound and that screen. But yeah, IMAX is... This might be my favorite IMAX movie ever. I mean, Interstellar and like all the Nolan movies are definitely up there too. But yeah, this is definitely... Every time I've seen it, I got to see it in IMAX, fortunately, and you can't beat it. And I'm excited to see the Blu-ray transfer. It should be really nice with the... expanding aspect ratios and whatnot, so I'm excited for that. Even though Blu-ray probably won't be out until like December or something.
So, the future, we've talked about, the first movie all the way up pretty much through this one. What do you think the future of this series holds? Do you think it's going to continue on? Do you think they're going to make another one? Has there been any grumblings of a sequel to this at all? Or
Nah, not really. I mean, I would be perfectly fine if this was the last one. I mean, there's no way you can top this. Like,
they didn't go the route either of which I know at one point the Bourne series was going to go with Jeremy Renner and kind of like relaunch it with him, and that's obviously not going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
I'm surprised in a way that they didn't. When I first heard Henry Cavill was going to be, I don't know why I call him Henry Cavill was going to be in this movie, I kind of thought, I was like, oh, okay, this could be interesting. Maybe he's going to be like the understudy and take over, but obviously he ended up being the bad guy. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't introduce someone in like Ghost Protocol or even in, any of these other ones where it's like a younger actor.
Well, Jeremy Renner did get introduced in Ghost Protocol.
I know, but I'm just saying, he wasn't in this one. I'm surprised they didn't bring someone in like intentionally to be like, oh, this is the guy. This is the guy that's going to be going forward.
Well, I think to me, and this is just my opinion, but I feel like Mission Impossible isn't Mission Impossible without Tom Cruise.
I agree.
So I don't think you need to replace him. I think you just need to end it when Tom Cruise is 56 now. If they make another one,
he'll be 60.
They're going to be filming it when he's 57, 58. So it's like, to me, it's just not they've pushed the envelope so much with these stunts in these movies, and Fallout takes it to like the highest level it's been at. And Tom Cruise, it seems like he's going to live forever and be able to do this forever, but he did fracture his ankle doing a stunt on Fallout, and I don't want to see them put his life at risk any more than they need to. He's getting older, and I think just the story was resolved in a really like satisfying way. His entire story and arc with his wife from the third movie all the way up till now was brought back and like wrapped up really nicely. His relationship with Ilsa, Benji, going from the desk to fighting for his life, and Luther, kind of coming back around as well, like full circle. I don't know. It's just, I don't know how you can. I don't know if it would be satisfying. I don't know if it would be a good idea.
Now, I have a wild idea which I've been thinking about, and I just kind of like keep building on it for some reason because I keep thinking about this series because it's gone back. I mean, I was a little freaking kid when this first movie came out, so I'm trying to think of ways for it to continue on. Being that Tom Cruise is getting older, I could see him maybe doing like another one where he's like partly in the field but starting to realize that he needs to be like behind the scenes more, and he's like kind of in like a centralized office, if you will. And the movies,
oh no,
yeah, it could be like him and Simon and freaking Luther's character. They're just kind of
Luther's character. Luther is the character. Ving Rhames is playing Luther.
I know, but I'm saying those characters could be more like the centralized, I guess, like liaisons between the government and the field agents. And the field agents could be like this new, like, not like young, like 20s, but like maybe in their 30s or maybe even like young 40s characters that come in, and they're like, it could just be funny. I could see them playing off of each other and like, oh yeah, these young kids have it now and we're just in the background, but then the kids screw it up. And I keep calling them kids even though I just said 30 or 40 years old. But like, oh, these young guys take over and we're just centralized, and they're way better than we are because we're younger, but then they get in trouble so they have to go save them or something of that nature. You know what I mean? It's just an idea. And my really out there idea, I don't know that Mission Impossible could, and I'm going to get heat for this, but Tom Cruise is Mission Impossible.
Yeah,
but I really like the Ilsa Faust character, and I think that actress is super strong, and she showed herself.
And the character is strong, too.
The character is super strong, and she's shown herself to be super capable in any situation. I could see her being, obviously that would be a complete separate thing from the IMF, because they just said that she got out. But I could see her in some way coming back and maybe being the lead, and Tom, like, again, I don't know if he'd be in it or he wouldn't be in it, but I wouldn't mind seeing a film centered around that character either, because she's a complete badass. And
I would definitely, I mean, I agree with that take. I think that is one way they could do it. It wouldn't even necessarily, you wouldn't even call it Mission Impossible maybe, but you could have like some sort of spin-off movie or like series where it's Ilsa, as the lead, and she's, doing whatever. But the thing is with that, going back to the story that, McQuarrie's written for her, and then, in Fallout and Rogue Nation, it's like
she just got out.
She just got out. And like Ethan has done his job, and it's like it feels like they're going off into the sunset, you know what I mean? But I will say, I think, Chris McQuarrie, I'm going to tell you exactly what he has said, like on Twitter and stuff and in interviews recently. He basically said he's made like really good money off of Rogue Nation and Fallout, obviously. And he never planned on doing Mission Impossible. It just happened because he's good buddies with Tom Cruise. And, it's funny, in the first movie, he said to Sean Harris, who plays Solomon Lane, he said, I'll kill you off at the end of this movie in Rogue Nation. And then they were filming it, and it's like, he came to the conclusion, I can't really kill you because I just don't think it works for the story. And so Sean Harris, got brought back for Fallout. And then at the end of Fallout, he's still alive. So I think that's an interesting choice. And even though McQuarrie has kind of said he wouldn't mind doing smaller movies for the foreseeable future, kind of take a break from these big movies, I think, if Paramount, this movie's making a bunch of money, it's on pace to be the biggest movie in the franchise. If Paramount just, throws money at him, can he say no? But I don't want it to be done for the money. I want him to actually have a story that's worth telling, and that'll take care of Ethan Hunt and Ilsa and Benji and like all these characters. But yeah, Solomon Lane is still alive at the end, and Chris McQuarrie is kind of like, will he, won't he type thing.
Also, just to point out, while Johnny was talking, I pulled up the numbers just because I was curious. Mission Impossible, almost all of them, as far as I know, have been successful at the box office, and in general with the critics. And just to see,
except for the second one,
yeah, exactly. To see the good vibes and the good news and reviews in general, just word of mouth. With this film in particular, to see how it's done at the box office, Rogue Nation 17-day total was about 138 million. And Fallout is way above that. It's like 161. So the good word on this movie has done big business for it. I think people like Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I think, no matter what you think, it's watching him do these crazy ass stunts for real. It's like you don't get to see that very often, and he is getting older. I think people do want to catch that on the big screen, before we don't get any more. And obviously the reviews help a lot. The movie's amazing, like we said. But yeah, I think this is definitely one of my favorite franchises of all time. Growing up, Harry Potter was always number one for me because I grew up with those movies. They literally aged with me. And
I've mentioned this before on the channel. I remember one time walking in Johnny's room when he was a little.
Oh God!
But he's probably in elementary.
This is so off topic.
When he's in elementary school, and I say, "Hey Johnny, you want to check out Harry Potter?" And he says, "I'm too old for that." And he's like in 5th grade at the time. But let's continue.
Anyway, now that he's gotten that out of his system. So like Harry Potter is always the big one for me. And then the Dark Knight trilogy, like changed my life. And there are others, but Mission Impossible, it's like they've also kind of like, I've grown up with them in a way. I remember seeing the third one when I was really young, and then I saw Ghost Protocol in theaters, which was one of my favorite like movie experiences ever, getting to see that like in IMAX. Then Rogue Nation came out a few years ago, and I really have like grown to love like these characters a lot, like Ethan and Benji, and then Ilsa now. And this one is just, Fallout's one of my favorite movies, officially. And I don't know. I'll be really, really happy if they end it here, but I'm also, if Chris McQuarrie has like the right story and feels like he's got something worth doing, I would definitely be interested to see him kind of conclude the trilogy that he started with Rogue Nation.
All right, guys. I think that wraps up our conversation here about Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise. I would like to have maybe a more in-depth discussion because I have seen a lot of other Tom Cruise movies from back in the day, whether it be Top Gun or The Firm or whatever, Cocktail even. I'm almost positive Johnny's never seen that movie. But yeah, he's had a long storied career, and I would love to talk about it.
He's been around for a while. He's been around the block.
Oh, God, and A Few Good Men. I mean, it's literally goes on and on and on.
Yeah, it's funny, too, because like kind of what we were talking about was when Mission Impossible came out, 22 years ago, he wasn't like a big action star. That was his first movie that he was doing action, like his own stunts and stuff. He had done Risky Business in The Firm and A Few Good Men, but then now it's like he is a huge movie star, but it's mainly he's known for his action, even though he is a really good, I think, underrated dramatic actor. I mean, if you go watch, A Few Good Men or Eyes Wide Shut or Born on the 4th of July or any of those.
Oh, God, I love that movie.
He really has like the chops for it, and I would like to see him. I think hopefully, and this is going to be really cool, I think, is as his body can no longer do these big action movies and do his own stunts and stuff, I'm kind of hoping he reverts back to more dramatic stuff, like working with big name directors and kind of maybe he could still pull out an Academy Award at some point. That'd be pretty awesome. But he deserves one anyway. They need to create a stunts category or something for this guy, or an honorary Oscar, because
he deserves like a lifetime achievement award.
Like Jackie Chan just got one recently, and I think Tom Cruise, as far as like stunts and action goes, he's definitely like. He's in that echelon of guys. So.
If not higher, yeah. All right, guys. Well, like I said, I think this wraps it up for us. We both love the movie, love Tom Cruise and his career. We definitely highly recommend going to see Mission Impossible Fallout whenever you can. Check it out. And we really, really appreciate it. Check out all of our other podcasts and keep checking out the channel for any updates that we have at any time. We're always coming out with new reviews and reactions and podcasts and all that sort of thing. So thank you, guys.
Also, before we leave, I'm going to plug myself real quick. If you want to follow me on Twitter, go to my profile, give me a follow at Johnny Sobczak. That's Johnny Sobczak, Sobczak. And then also it's my same username for Instagram. And if you would like to read some other things that I've written and movie reviews, you can find me, especially including for Fallout. You can go check that out at davidsobczak.net. So that's David Sobczak, Sobczak. And you can also find me on Letterboxd.
All right, guys, we're out of here. Thank you.